Hey, good afternoon, guys. Welcome back to the channel. Hope everybody's doing well today. So we are on to our next project, which is going to be, oh gosh, which is going to be replacing this sink right here. So in last video, we did the stove, which as of right now, I'm actually still waiting on a couple of parts for the stove. I ordered a bigger propane tank and a mount because I ran into a couple of issues, but you guys will be seeing that video before this one comes out. But anyways, while we're waiting for those parts on the stove, we're going to go ahead and move on to working on getting this sink out. So I've got a new sink, and the dimensions are pretty similar to the old one. So it's like this little RV sink, and the faucet is actually underneath this lid right here. And you can open or close it, and whenever you're not using the sink, you can kind of use this as like a cutting board or like a surface for whatever you'd like, really. So that's a nice convenience. So we'll be putting that in, but we're going to go ahead and work on getting this out, which it's actually a pretty similar configuration as the stove, where it just sort of has four little like metal plates that kind of grab underneath and keep it, kind of bolted down. So I'll show you that, and then we'll go ahead and get those out. Okay, we are under the sink now. I don't know why there's all this weird tape under it. It's kind of gross. I'm excited to have this thing out of here, but as you can see, there's four of these, basically one on each corner, one right there, one kind of over there. You can't really see that well. And then there's one on that side, and then there is one right there. So it's just those four little clamp things, I guess. I don't really know what those are called. But we're going to take those out. We're going to disconnect this drain right here, and then should be able to just lift this right out of here like we did with the old stove. Okay, so everything's been disconnected, and pretty much the same procedure. Just try and lift this out of here as best we can. All right. We'll put that to the side here. Actually, maybe I'll just put it outside. All right. So here we go. So pretty easy to get that out of there. And next thing to do will be to disconnect these water lines right here, and we can start fitting the new stove in, or not the stove, sorry, the new sink, and seeing the kind of connections we need to make and what kind of replacements we need to do for the new lines. Okay, y'all, so I was checking out underneath the sink to see what kind of removals and installations and adaptations, I guess, I needed to do to fit the new water lines for the new sink in. And I took a trip to the hardware store down the street from my house where one of my good friends works, and he helped me out a little bit. So we did a bit of work together off camera, which I will show you what I did now. So basically what I did was I took the cold line off. This is the hot line. I probably won't be messing with this because I'm not planning on having hot water for the sink. I'm going to try to install a water heater for the shower, but for the sink, I can just get hot water, like, from boiling it or whatever. So I'm not messing with that yet. But what I did do is, so first of all, I'll show you the old connection. So this is the old one right here. So basically what I did was I just cut it off right here at the bottom because this seam was leaking right here. And I would have needed to replace this whole thing anyways because the line on the new sink is not the same fitting. So basically, just chopped this off and unscrewed this top part from, the threads right there. So this is no longer being used. And what we did instead was we got this 3/8 to, I believe, 1/2 inch male, and then this 1/2 inch female goes to this 3/8 male. So we now have a proper connection to put the cold line for the new stove on, and I'll show you that now. Okay, so right here is the new faucet with the on-off dial right here, and I have both the hot and cold lines connected to it because, well, I have to, and I have the hot side just kind of capped off because otherwise, if I didn't have this connected, the water would just come out of the hot side, even if I have the cold side connected. So I use the hot pipe and I just capped it off right here. And then for the cold side, this is the part that screws in. It is a 3/8 that screws right in to this male thread right here. So that is why I had to go to the hardware store and get some adapters, because this previous fitting obviously would not have worked because this is a female bit right here, and it wouldn't have gone on to the old one, so, or to the new one, I guess. So now that we have these adapters all figured out, we can go ahead and set up the new basin, and we can go ahead and take out the old faucet. So let's go ahead and see how we'll go about that. So the old faucet is right here, and since we've already disconnected the cold side, we're, I guess, almost halfway there. So because this wasn't having any water flow through it anyways, and we have to take this off, we're going to disconnect this one as well. And I guess we'll just kind of, I don't know, maybe cut this or just kind of put it out of the way. There's no water going through it anyways. So we'll take this off, and then I'm not quite sure how to get this thing the rest of the way out, but I guess we just sort of unscrew these little guys right here. But I'll get back to you guys once I have the faucet loosened. All right, so I've got these little screws loose right here. I guess they're kind of like almost like a wing nut design. It's these little plastic clamps right here. So they sort of just loosen like this, and then I'm assuming that once these are all the way loose, we can just pull out the old faucet. So let's go ahead and get these off. Okay, and with that, I'm thinking that's all we need. Well, there goes the faucet. I think that's all we need to get the rest of this assembly out of here. I hope. Yeah, I think that's about it. And this wood is kind of, as you can see, it's pretty rotted. So I don't know if I'm going to do anything about that, but we will see if it becomes a problem. But yeah, so here it comes. All right. Cool. So now that we have that out of here, we can go ahead and try and fit the new one. Let's see how that goes. All right, so here is how the new sink is probably going to have to sit. And yes, I know it's not flush to the counter. And the reason why it's going to have to be that way is because if it drops that extra half an inch or so, the drain will actually encroach onto the fridge that's going to be here. So the fridge sits about 25 inches tall, and this drain is right at about 26. So if I drop it, that this plug right here is going to be pushing on the fridge. So I don't think I'll be able to have it any lower than this, but it's fine. It's not a big deal. I'll just figure out a way to mount this properly in this space. So I'll see how I'm going to do that, because the mounts that come with the kit are, of course, assuming that you're going to have this on a flush surface. So I'll figure out some way to get this mounted securely, and then I'll get back to you guys. Well, I might have to retract my previous statement about the sink encroaching on the fridge, because I'm not sure now. I just brought the fridge in here to see kind of how it would look, and let me show you what I'm looking at. So I have the fridge right here, and as you can see, it's like, I don't know, it's like 1.5 inches right there maybe, and you can see that the space remaining is like maybe just about that, or not even quite as much. So I don't know, what do you guys think? I mean, I know you can't answer, but I think I might have just enough space to be able to drop this sink all the way down after all, which I didn't think I did at first. But now that I'm looking at it, I think that space right there is just a bit more than this space that it has left to sink in. So maybe I will try cutting this hole out a little bit more, because this is still the original hole. This just kind of happened to fit. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to try that, and if anything, it'll look a lot better than where it is right now. So I think I'm just going to try it, and maybe miraculously it'll end up fitting just barely. So let's see about doing that. Okay, you guys will never believe it. Look at this. That is like 1/4 inch, I think. 1/4 inch of space that I've got left over there. It'll focus in. So how about that? I did not think that would fit, but with the fridge in its rough position, it looks like we're all good. So I was not expecting that to fit, but I can certainly work with that. So next is going to be securing this thing down, and we'll go ahead and get the faucet in there, and we'll get the cold water line hooked up as well. So we're pretty much there, y'all. Got the faucet connected. I've got the drain connected as well. Well, almost. I think what I'm going to do is, because I still have the drain left over from the old sink, and there's really nothing wrong with it. I don't feel like rerouting the new one. I'm just going to cut this new hose because I don't need all of this. And because it is shorter in diameter than the larger hose, the old one, I can just kind of put it in here like this, and then I'll just wrap this with tape. And I think that will be enough to do the job. So I really don't need too much of this. So I'm going to cut that, make sure I wrap it really good so nothing leaks out, of course, and then hook up this line, and we will give it a test run. So everything's hooked up now. This one, of course, was capped off. We've got the cold side right there, tightened up nice and good. And then right here is where I cut the new drain hose and then linked it to the old one. So I've got it taped up well, and I actually saved enough of this to where the new hose actually comes like pretty far into the old one. So the new hose kind of stops like probably right about there. So there's pretty much no chance of any water coming out of here. So I'm not too worried about it. But we will put some water in the tank, which I'm also going to be doing a video replacing that because the tank's too small. But in the meantime, we'll give this a test run. All right, here we go. So let's turn the water pump on here. This panel will eventually be mounted up again, but all right. And let's see if we have flow. Okay. Oh goodness. Well, looks like it's trying. Okay, well, we got something. So I'm not sure why it was coming out kind of like erratically like that. Maybe there's a leak somewhere, or maybe the pump is just old or something, but I'll double check. Kind of, there's an access panel in the bathroom. It's actually in like right there, that little panel. I'll take that off and check behind there and see if there's any other parts of that system that are leaking, and check and see if the pump looks old or whatever. Maybe I'll try and replace that. But if there's no leaks, then I'm fine with that, honestly. I mean, it comes out, and it comes out enough for me, so I will take it. I'm sure it's just I don't know, a trait of the pump being old or whatever, but I'm glad to have gotten that done. I think that will probably do it for this one. So next step, now that we've gotten that done, we can go ahead and put the fridge in. Really glad that that will fit. Glad that we found that out. So we'll do that in the next video, and after that we should be done with all of the appliances kind of in that area. I still would like to try and put an AC unit in my window, so I will see about doing that before I leave as well. But what I really want to get done next is start working on a bed frame to extend kind of this twin bed area that I have. So we'll see about doing that. But until then, I appreciate you guys watching very much. I think we just recently hit 100 subscribers, so I'm going to put a video out about that as well. So thank you guys for all your support. We'll catch you in the next one.